Hi, welcome. I'm going to do a braided balayage a little differently today. I'm going to do before I was kind of doing a reverse balayage, and now I want to see if I actually um, put the lightener on all those highlights and how it's going to look. So let's get started. So I already set her up in 4 quadrants, and I already put her root smudge on to about an inch and a half down. So now I'm going to start here, and I'm going to take about a 1 inch section. Always remembering to keep everything neat and clean. Now I have these clips strategically placed for a reason. So I'm going to go in with my weaves. I'm going to take this here, and that's going to go over there. And that's going to be my low light. So another section. And you're just going to follow up the head, just like this. Very, very simple. Pretty chunky weaves. There's so many variations to this particular braided balayage. I feel like it's pretty priceless, the opportunities that you can do with this, all the different techniques. Makes it a lot of fun. A lot of times in the front, I'll leave up some pieces and I'll do a little money piece out there. This is great for, you can tone down to the brown, you can do your low lights to just a not as dark as the root, but a really pretty low light, but you don't have to go as dark as the root. You can tease it up and really soften that line of demarcation. It's always fun to do techniques. New techniques, your clients love it. All right. That first section is done. So I'm just going to separate these. So this is going to be your highlights, and this is going to be your lowlights. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Make sure you can see. Put this down just a little bit so we can wrap that over. Just a good way to keep it separated. I really wanted to try this on my mannequin that was already pretty blonde and just so we can really see the difference. You know, I'm definitely about working smarter and not harder. I think those days of 3,000 foils are over. Thank God. I think the nice lived-in effect makes it so much easier. Last them longer. They can come just in for maintenance, maybe for a root tap, gray coverage, and a gloss in between. Be a little mindful of what you want for lowlights and highlights. If you want, you know, more lowlights and less highlights, you can weave that accordingly. All right. So we're going to separate this. Separate this. Now we're going to move on to the sides. Now I am a little more paying attention because I want more of the blonde around the face. So you remember, whatever goes back is going to be the low light. So the chunks you want to take are leaving a little bit more for the highlights. So I'm going to take a little bigger chunks here and a little less here, so I can really leave that for the highlight. This will save you so much time in the salon. It will be amazing. Little guy stays back there. Or actually, you could do that in the front too. That might be easier, actually. I'm going to try that on the other side. I'm going to try going towards the front. See how that works out. All right, so now we have this side, and we have this side, which I'm going to pull right to the back because that's going to be all your lowlights, all your highlights. This is going to be your highlights and your lowlights. Never hurt to put a clip in there. All right, I'm going to try, let's see. Try doing it a little opposite. Over here. So then this I can really see what the highlights are going to be. All right, there we go. Might be a little easier to visualize the highlights instead of just the lowlights. So we know that we want a little chunkier in here and a little less here. More blonde here, a little less there. See, this piece in front's really dark, so I think really go chunky in here, a little less there, maybe a little more right there. And you know, you're kind of figuring it out as you're going up, you know, what you want. I'm going to take some big chunks there and a little less here. All right, so now these are going to be your low lights. So we're going to put this. And these are going to be your highlights. All right, because the highlights take longer, I think I'm going to do the highlights first. So now we have, I'm going to keep these separate just because I'm going to be really trying to get in there with the highlights. So I'm going to pull this pretty tight this way. Get this all out of my way. And if you just wait 1 second, I'm going to mix up my lightener. All right, we can get started. I advise wearing gloves. I'm at home and I don't have any gloves. But you want to fully saturate. You want to kind of melt that right up to your low light formula. Fully saturate. We don't want any blotchiness. You could also do a little tease here if you wanted. Always keep a towel next to you, especially when you're changing colors. See where that line is? I would start like a little behind that line where your low light formula is, and then just kind of melt it in. Could also do this with a balayage board. Might be a little less messy. You know, I'm just showing you the technique, and then you can really just make it yours. If you have any questions, you can DM me at any time. Message me. There is never a silly question. Okay, I'm going to go to the other side. You can take, you know, as thicker, big sections as you want. You just have to really make it sure that it's fully saturated. See, like this, I would say is a little too big of a section. Definitely too big of a section. If you do that, just separate it out. And make it a little smaller next time. Sorry, my lady wants to move around here. Kind of like those clients that never stay still. It's a little easier when they get to the top because then it can just stay there. You don't have to clip it. Really curious how this is going to come out because it is a lot more lightening than I did on my previous record. Last time I did mainly Lulites and then just kind of tipped out the ends. So we will see. This would be really pretty if it comes out. What is your favorite coloring service to do in the salon? I love the lived-in looks. I'm really trying to get most of my customers to switch over to the more natural highlights, to the more lived-in looks. It's just so flawless, and there's no lines, and there's no line of demarcation, and it's just beautiful. It's not over blonde, so it's not like those traditional foils when you just did horizontal foils and 1,000 in the head. All right, so this section is done. And we are just going to take this and braid it up. Keep it out of the way. She's going to be a blondie, so I'll be curious how this looks. All right, I'm going to go now to my highlighted section in the front. So I'm going to get this all out of the way as much as I possibly can, because this is going to be our Lulite. And then we are. Now, if you wanted this softer, you could teasy light this and just tip out the ends. Like I said, there's so much you can do. I just really want to see how it comes out when you're heavily foiling. Like, you know, putting a lot of highlights in there. Not just... Let's see how the dimension looks. Now this is the side that I did with the lowlights going back, and the other side with the highlights going, the highlights going to the back, and this one I got going to the front. So curious. I have a feeling I'm going to have a lot more highlights on the other side because I could really see what I was doing. But this is how we learn, you know. We play on mannequins. We just never stop educating ourselves. I'm actually using a balayage. I'm using paint, which is a balayage lightener because it is open air. But you could always put these in foils. My hands are going to be killing me after this, though. You know, you mainly have to, learn all the basics. And when then you master the basics, then you can add your own twist to things. You can kind of see if there's any little windows or pockets when you're doing this because you're blending it in with your fingers. So it's good because you know. feather it up a little bit. All right, one more on this side. All right, and we're going to take this, we're going to braid it up. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And then at all this that's left is going to be your little lights. So I'm going to try to get this out of the way as much as possible. Make sure I get it right up there on the face. Fully saturate through those ends. Always start in the middle, go down to get your heaviest coverage. Then you're going to want to go up so you don't get too much in that. You don't want things bleeding and plopping all over the place and too much of a line. Now, if you brought your root melt out far enough, you shouldn't have to worry about getting in there too close. So excited to see how this is going to come out. I really want to make this money piece pop, so I'm going to go in pretty close with this one. I know it's scary when you're putting the lightener and you're hitting your root shadow, but it just all blends. It just all comes out beautiful. Just about done with this section. Taking a little smaller sections here because I just really, really want this to be full of saturated and really pop. Make sure we're not missing anything. Sorry, Mrs. Mannequin. Don't do that to your customer's face. You gotta make sure it's all underneath there. All right, that part is done. So I'm going to braid that up. I braid this up. And I'm going to take my low light formula and I'm going to pull it through all those pieces that are left. If you want to separate that with foil, if you're afraid you're going to get some on the blonde, sorry, you can do that. All right, mixing up my lulettes. So I did a demi-permanent 6-1 on her root area. And I'm doing a demi-permanent 6.1 on the rest of her hair with 3 volume. You know, if you were covering gray coverage, you could totally just do your roots, just like you're doing gray coverage. And then you could do this technique, and you only have to do it every once in a while. You know, you don't have to do this all the time. You can just keep covering her roots. And, you know, every once in a while when you need to add some more depth, to add some more highlights, you can just go in and do this technique. But this isn't something that they have to have every time, you know. So I'm just going to show you this quick. Make sure you fully saturate. That's the biggest thing here. Sometimes I'll even give it a good comb through at the end. I like using the wet brushes. That's always a nice way to really get in there. I also have another comb that is good because it doesn't take off the color. It just kind of blends it in, so that's pretty sweet too. All right, I'm just going to go through this really quick because I don't want you guys sitting there all day bored. I wish my lady would stay. And then I'd let this sit till it processes. And then I will probably do a glaze depending on how light she lifts. I don't usually mix my glaze until I know what I have. You know, especially with mannequins, you know, there's no promise we're getting up to a level 9. So we will see where she gets, and then we will adjust accordingly. You know, I'd love to get this into the 9 family, but because it's a mannequin, and you can do this with brunettes, with redheads. I mean, you can just do it with everything. It's just so many opportunities. All right, gonna braid that. Easy enough. All right, one more side. So, I can't wait till she processes and I can show you the results. She had a lot of old yellow golden highlights in here. So this will be nice to darken some of that up. And then hopefully we can get really light to the blonde. So you want to make sure you get your root shadow out a little bit far enough so that these pieces aren't really like intermingling, so that you can't get the whole piece because it's not root shadowed far enough down. And then, like I said, you could always do a face framing money piece in the front if you really want to add that pop without doing this technique. So please, please ask me any questions. I love questions. You can comment here. You can DM me. But you know, most of your questions are somebody else's questions too. So if you ask me and I reply, a lot of other people will get some good information on that might be a little shy or not want to ask. So it's a good thing to ask questions, because usually you're answering some other people's questions and not just your own. I've been doing this for 35 years. I've owned my business for 25 years. And my passion has always been coloring. So I did the American Board Certified. I'm just an education freak. I'm always taking classes. And I'd like to do these things for you because a lot of us don't have the time or the money to spend the tens of thousands of dollars that I have in education. And it took me so long to get it because I didn't have the money either. So it took me a long time to get here. And if I can make that so much just easier and quicker for you, that would be my ultimate goal. I've made all the mistakes. I've been to all the classes. So I just really, really would, it would just be my privilege to be able to help you get there faster and not take 35 years to get where I am. And that's what it's all about, is education. It keeps me excited every day. So I do this, I'm going to go in the salon all excited and be doing it on my next customer. It's like, then I go in and I'm like, oh, who could I do this on? It's exciting when it's so easy to just get stuck in the humdrum of the same old thing every day. Your colors are fine, but they're not wowing anybody. You're not getting like so excited when you're done because you're just so proud of what you did and how beautiful it looks. And that's where I want you to be. I want you to be where you're just like, this is beautiful and I did this, and just want you to have that feeling of gratification and satisfaction, be proud of yourself. So I'm going to let her process and I will come back with her results. All right. Have a great day. Bye-bye.